Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here, and welcome back to some more WWE 2K16 Universe Mode. And here we are with our next episode of Smackdown. Now, we only have one more episode of Smackdown left next week, as you can see, until we hit our next pay-per-view Backlash. But of course, don't forget we will be having the... We've got the Global Cruiserweight Championship tomorrow, the first set of quarterfinals. Next Saturday, we will have the second set of quarterfinals. Then on week number 3, we will have the semi-finals, and then of course week number 3, we will also be having a special Global Cruiserweight Championship pay-per-view episode, I suppose, where we'll crown our first Cruiserweight Champion, and then of course add all the new guys into our SmackDown roster as well. So without further ado, let's have a look at tonight's card. We're going to start things off with the championship rivalry, shall I say. Ultimate Warrior, the current SmackDown champion, feuding with The Rock, and this evening they're going to start this card off. Then, yeah, I don't know. The game, I let the game book a lot of the card itself, just to try and give people an opportunity, but in fairness, this one's a little bit more cruel to Honky Tonk than anything else. But then again, Honky Tonk has pulled out some crazy victories in the past. I seem to remember he may have defeated the Ultimate Warrior at some point. But this evening he has Braun Strowman. Match number 3, we've got a funky triple threat as Dude Love takes on Rich Swann and Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. Match number 4, we have the continuation of our women's rivalry. It looks like Paige is taking on Lita. Of course, Paige currently feuding with AJ Lee, so we might see AJ at some point in that match. The next match is actually looking pretty damn good. Shawn Michaels taking on Cody Rhodes. That looks like a really good match, actually. Match number 6 is going to be Austin Aries taking on the former Intercontinental Champion Bray Wyatt. That, of course, is a rivalry match as well. Bray looking to get his Intercontinental Championship back from Seth Rollins. And wouldn't surprise me if Seth turns up in that match. And talking of Seth, our main event here this evening is going to be Seth Rollins taking on Luke Harper. And Eric Rowan will be at ringside. So we are going to watch 4 of the matches tonight. I would like to watch 5, but I'm really short on time. Honky Tonk versus... Oh, for God's sake, Honky Tonk. For God's sake, this man... What? This has happened to a few people now. Santino's become the same. Curtis Axel's doing the same sort of thing over on Raw as well. And they're pulling off victories they really shouldn't be. And Honky Tonk, that win over Braun Strowman, is going to lift Honky Tonk up the rankings ever so slightly. And you know what? Former Intercontinental Champion Honky Tonk. We might have to give him that opportunity at some point. Triple threat match. Dude Love, Mr. Perfect, Rich Swann. Won by Mr. Perfect, pinning Rich Swann. That's a bit of a shame. Rich Swann is somebody who's going to really get an advantage from this Cruiserweight Championship coming in, because that's going to give him a lot more exposure on this roster. Rich Swann, if you've not seen much of him, he is signed for NXT. He's made one appearance so far, I think, a few months back. Had a pretty good match against Baron Corbin. But he's a really good high flyer, and we'll see a lot more of him once the Global Cruiserweight Championship is done. And unfortunately, the match that I really like the look of, actually, Shawn Michaels versus Cody Rhodes, we are going to have to skip this one. And then we'll watch the other 4. So it's going to be a win for... Wow. A win for Cody Rhodes. And that, again, is another massive victory for Cody. And, again, we're getting quite a few big victories now in this universe, man. We really need to start rewarding some of these people. But I don't know how much we can reward Honky Tonk, because he's just not... He's not at the sort of level we're looking at. If we think about we're feuding Rollins with Bray Wyatt, we don't really want Honky Tonk Man to be involved in that little trio, do we, really? Then again, you might see it differently. So we are going to watch these 4 matches. So we do have Warrior versus The Rock, Paige versus Lita, Aries versus Bray Wyatt, and Seth Rollins versus Luke Harper. So without further ado, let's get straight into our first match. Well, that's loud. Anyway, here is our first match. Like I just mentioned, it is going to be the Ultimate Warrior, our current SmackDown champion, taking on the #1 contender for that championship, The Rock. A win here for either of these guys could really help build the momentum going forward into that Backlash pay-per-view next weekend. As I managed to talk through the entire loading screen, that's always handy. Easy bit of editing there for me. So we are in Boston, Massachusetts for the Ultimate Warrior, who was one of the first 3 people confirmed for the WWE 2K17 game, which was announced a few days back. I think I did mention it on the episode of Thunder yesterday. Warrior was announced alongside John Cena, which is no massive surprise, and Sasha Banks, which is no massive surprise, but I'm very happy to see she is finally on the game. So it's good to see Warrior on there as well. I think now Warrior will be on there every year. They've got his model, they've got his moveset, entrance, everything like that, so it's easy just to keep copy and pasting it onto every single year. Might give him a slight upgrade here and there, but I think Warrior's going to be an ever-present now in these games, which is great. I want to see the rosters continuously get bigger and bigger and bigger. to the point where in maybe 10 years' time we've got every wrestler that's ever wrestled. That's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, but at least we get Gilberg. We need Gilberg. Hashtag where's Gilberg? And here is The Rock. Good to see this man. I want to see him do well. I really do. I don't know if Rock's held any championship. I think Rock's always struggled on some of our Universe modes. I don't think he's ever really taken control. But then again, nobody really does. Nobody really takes full control of these Universe modes. We did have Kevin Owens on Nitro for the first couple of months of Nitro. Really dominate. He did not lose a match. Held the championship. Defeated quite a few big names. And then, of course, lost that championship at the Payback pay-per-view. And then lost to Samoa Joe the very next night as well. So he's not in the best situation at the moment. I think that's good though, because I don't think you want anyone too dominant, because on 2K15, of course, we had the Kenny Omega problem, where Kenny Omega just became an absolute beast of a man. He was so dominant on every single roster you put him in, to the point where I had to stop using him. I had to actually reduce his stats just to try and make it a bit more even, where other people had a chance to actually beat him. It was crazy. So what a great way to open SmackDown with potentially our main event from Backlash. Ultimate Warrior versus The Rock, spanning 2 generations, picking out 2 of the top stars from those generations. And who's going to come out on top of this one? Of course, Ultimate Warrior, believe it or not, won the SmackDown Championship in an Elimination Chamber just a few weeks back, about 4 weeks back actually, at the... Oh, what pay-per-view was that? Over the Edge, I think it was. Yeah, it was Over the Edge. It was Ultimate... This is where my memory kicks in now. Ultimate Warrior, there was... I think Luke Harper was in there. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig was in there. Austin Aries. There were some other guys in there as well. I think Aries was actually eliminated first, I think. But I think the final 3 were Harper, Hennig, and Warrior. So that was pretty cool. And it'd be interesting to see if Warrior can continue to hold on now. Can he continue to keep a hold of this championship? One-on-one is completely different to a 6-man match. 6-man match, you need to be very clever. You need to pick your moments, which he did. But a one-on-one against The Rock is going to be a completely different kettle of fish for Ultimate Warrior to try and compete against. So it's pretty cool for SmackDown. We are going to have 2 pay-per-views in a row, 2 weeks in a row. We've got Backlash next Saturday, as I mentioned, or next Sunday, shall I say. And then the Saturday afterwards, or the Sunday, well, we'll do the Saturday afterwards. We will have the finale of the Global Cruiserweight Championship, crowning our first Cruiserweight Champion, and the rest of the show will just be a way to show off the ability of the rest of the Cruiserweights. So we're going to be having some very high-flying matches. We'll probably end up having a 6-man ladder match. Maybe a 6-man ladder match, and the winner will get the #1 contendership for the Cruiserweight Championship. That's a pretty good idea. We could also do maybe just some fatal 4-ways or triple threats, or just so we're going to see the full effect of the Cruiserweights. We could even do a tag match. Of course, we've got the Lucha Dragons, who are going to be part of the Cruiserweight division. Maybe facing off against the debuting Sky Blondes. That's all going to depend, of course, on if Jack Evans makes it through to the final. Of course, he is one of the quarterfinalists, so we'll find out on Saturday, or tomorrow, shall I say, exactly how far he has gone. So Rory just wrenching that leg of The Rock back now into the pin. He goes 1, 2. It's only a 2 count. I must admit, I'm really enjoying my beer at the moment. It's not a good thing. I think I'm getting addicted, you know. I think it's more and more often now I'm drinking while I'm recording. I think I just drink when it's the hot temperature, I think it is. Just whenever it's really warm, I just really fancy a beer. And so far, it's really hitting the spot this evening. Warrior now gorilla press on The Rock. And now Warrior looking for the win. There's the press, the back rolls The Rock over. There's the pin. Is that going to be enough to keep the #1 contender down? If it is, it's a massive victory for Warrior. And it is. Ultimate Warrior there. Great victory for him. Really quick as well. That's a really short match, and Warrior puts his hand out and The Rock slaps it away. See, now there was a little bit of period of time recently where it was giving me the choice of shake hands, slap it away, or attack, and don't seem to be getting that choice here at the moment, but it's a bit of a shame. Let's have a look at the rivalry update anyway. And here it is, rising tensions. The Rock's frustration is growing after losing to the Ultimate Warrior. 2 weeks left of the rivalry. So now Warrior has got a momentum boost and a hot streak. He's become very much more prideful and respectful and slightly more bold from this match as well. The Rock has got himself a cold streak, 2 losses in a row, and you know what? Look at the status effects. I don't know how much the status effects really mean to this game compared to what it did in 2K15, but at the moment you'd think Warrior stats plus the status effects compared to the Rock stats plus the minus effects, Warrior is looking like he's in pole position to win this feud. And here is our next match this evening. It is going to be the Smackdown Women's Champion Paige taking on one of the legends of the women's division, Lita. And here we go. We're still in Boston, that's good. The game sometimes likes to move us around. Oh, you know what? I haven't changed it back yet. It's going to say the same thing. There we go, custom champion. I keep forgetting. I've changed it a few times. It keeps changing back. It's annoying me now. That is annoying. Be interesting to see what they do with the women's division when they do the draft split. I've heard two opposing. I've heard 2 opposing rumours. One rumour was that they were going to split the women's division into 2 completely and have 2 separate women's divisions, one on SmackDown, one on Raw, which I would prefer. I think they do have enough women on the roster now. They don't have like a lot of women's matches in one night anyway. So if they just had maybe 8, 9, 10 women on each roster, I think that'd be by far enough, and they've got enough in NXT to really build that up as well. The other one I heard was that they were going to split the women down to 2 rosters once again, but then the women's champion would be able to appear on both shows, which I've heard the same thing with the men's champion as well, and I'm not quite sure that would work, because in my opinion, if she can't continue to build her feud, she can't really do anything, so there's no point in my mind of doing that. I think they should either have all the women on one roster, or they should split them into 2 separate rosters and have 2 separate champions. That just makes sense to me. And I think it'll be the same for SmackDown. I heard the same thing for SmackDown's having the champion able to appear on both shows. It doesn't really work if you're feuding against one person from one show. It might work if you're doing a triple threat, but apart from that, for me, it won't work. So I would much rather see 2 separate champions. I want to see Raw and SmackDown run essentially as separate companies, because from what I read when they first announced it was they were going to be completely separate, completely own roster of wrestlers and completely own writing teams. That was the thing that really intrigued me, is the 2 rosters are going to have separate writing teams. Now for me, that would mean there's going to be some sort of competitiveness between the 2 shows to try and put on the best quality show, and that's what WWE have been sort of missing for so long now, is there's no competition. Because there's no competition, I think they got very, very lazy in what they were doing. So I think by having the competition now, it's gonna hopefully make both rosters try and outdo the other one, and that's gonna give us better wrestling to watch. And plus, if Raw and SmackDown are 2 completely separate shows, it's like having 2 mainstream wrestling companies to watch a week rather than 1. Plus, you only have to watch Roman Reigns once a week. And that's a bonus for everybody. Paige now taking Lita up into a backbreaker. Now, I'm trying to get ahead of myself now on these videos, so I don't end up doing what I did last week and ended up missing a few days and having to just restart the next week. Because we're not too far away from being on Real Life, actually, are we? We're coming up to Money in the Bank in Real Life. I think in Real Life it's the 15th of the 6th I'm recording this. In the game, it is the 4th of the 6th, so we're catching up. I would like to, if I get enough episodes recorded, I would like to potentially upload 2 weeks worth in 1 week just to try and catch up a little bit. We're obviously not going to get to WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble or anything like that in this universe mode. I think next year's universe mode we might be able to do something like that. And I might stick with this format. I don't know what you guys think. Do you prefer this format of having 4 separate rosters and just mixing and matching all the wrestlers and just trying to integrate the indie stars and the legends where we want to? Or do you prefer having them as fixed? Do you prefer having an old-timey roster, a Ring of Honor, a Global Force, a WWE? I prefer this because it means every few months we can have like an extra draft or something like that, and we can mix it up a little bit and we can try and change some people around. I would prefer to do that, but if you guys prefer for me to do like a Ring of Honor roster and that sort of stuff, then I can definitely look at going back to doing that. But again, we would have to do maybe 3 or 4 shows a week rather than doing the 6 I started doing, because that was just a bit too much. Especially on 2K16, the videos are a lot longer. On 2K17, I could, sorry, 2K15, I could record a whole 7-match card in about half an hour, 40 minutes. And now, when we just do 3 or 4 matches, it's ended up being the same sort of time frame. So, yeah, it's a lot more difficult. There's Lita with a snap suplex on Paige. Now just slamming the face of Paige into the mat. Brings her back up to her feet. And launches her across the ring via her hair. Now this is important for Trish. This is important for Lita, of course, this match as well. Because she knows that AJ Lee is the #1 contender. She's the one forcing the championship match for herself at Backlash. However, Lita will be thinking, if she can pick up a victory here against Paige, the women's champion, then surely she will be getting a championship match in the future, be it against Paige or be it against AJ Lee. We don't know that yet, but you really want to win this sort of match because it can really put you at the top of the rankings, next in line for a championship match. Now, I would imagine people like Lita and Trish, I would imagine that all of the downloadable content is going to be on 2K17 anyway. I would imagine there'll be a few people missing from the roster, don't get me wrong. Most likely going to be Stardust missing. Damien Sandow, Wade Barrett, they'll all be gone. Adam Rose, they'll be gone as well. So there's a few people we might look to try and bring back. But I think there's going to be a lot more newer people. I'm still hoping that we get Nakamura. I think if Nakamura, well, if Anderson and Gallows are on there, then I'm pretty confident that I've got a feeling what 2K will do. I think they'll be very, very cheeky. I think 2K will release Gallows, Anderson, Aries, and Nakamura as downloadable content, just to try and get you out of some extra money. That's what I got. That's what I think 2K are going to do, and I don't mind paying the extra money, but I don't want to wait until like October, January next year to get those 4 guys. I want them straight away. Dropping Lita face first on that top rope now, pulling her away from the ropes. Paige drops into the pin. There she goes. 1, 2. Still only a 2 count. I did actually pre-order 2K17 today. There's no official release date. I'm sure I saw a release date, and now it's saying there is none. But I'm sure it was like the 26th of October, which was very much the same sort of time as it was last year. So I'm going to assume it's around about there, which is great for me because I think I've got the week off before that. But there are a lot of games coming out in October. I think in October I'm getting the PlayStation Virtual Reality on the 13th of October, which is the date it gets released. Also getting Battlefield 1 gets released on the 21st of October. And then also looking for Final Fantasy, and No Man's Sky comes out in August as well. I'm going to be very, very busy, man, for the next few months, I tell you. There's the pin by Lita after the twist of fate. Paige got a hold of that bottom rope. Referee saw it. Well done to the referee. They don't normally see them sort of things on this game. Oh, Lita going to the top. She hits a fantastic moonsault. She might need to do it to finish this match off. And there it is. And this could be a victory here for Lita over the women's champion Paige. She's already hit with a twist of fate, and surely the moonsault will be enough, and it is. There is the 3 count. Lita, Amy Dumbass, which is so difficult to say without sounding like you're insulting her, gets a fantastic victory here over Paige. And interestingly, this was a rivalry match. We've not seen AJ Lee in this one at all. But I'm sure AJ will be pretty happy backstage seeing that the momentum has swung away from Paige on this one. There's the pin by Paige. Again, it was only enough for the 2 count from that Paige turner. Then she locked in this submission hold, which is such a cool submission hold. Is that called the Paige tap out? You have to let me know if I've got that right or not. I've got a feeling that's called the Paige tap out, the PTO. And this was Paige dropping Lita on her face on that top rope. She thought she might have won it there. She went in for the pin. Wasn't quite enough though. Then after the twist of fate, you saw Paige grab the hold of that bottom rope. Lita went up top and she hits that moonsault. Beautifully hit moonsault as well. Referee was very, very slow down, but it was still enough to pick up the 3 count. So well done to Lita. She picks up a victory over the current women's champion Paige, and that's got to really thrust her into that championship picture as well now. Of course, it's AJ Lee who's got that championship match coming up at Backlash. But you'd have to think straight after Backlash, Lita will be gunning for that championship. And who could blame her? Okay, rivalry result trash talk. Challenger AJ Lee sent a strong message to champion Paige, signaling the end of her title reign. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see that. We watched the entrances, we watched the match, we watched the end, and I did not see AJ Lee at all. But let's just assume that she said something backstage before the match that we didn't catch. I don't bloody know. Good old glitchy 2K16 anyway. Paige is now on a cold streak due to successive losses, and Lita has gained herself a hot streak, so she's doing quite well. Both women... Oh, no, sorry. Lita's feuding with Trish, which doesn't really matter on this roster. Paige is feuding with just everybody. Paige has actually got enough space to feud against anyone else, so I might have to go into Paige and delete all these feuds out, just so we can have her feud against AJ properly. Maybe that's why the cutscene didn't work. Who knows? And here's our next match of the evening. It's going to be Austin Aries taking on our former Intercontinental Champion and #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship, Bray Wyatt. And here comes Bray to the ring, and Seth Rollins attacking Bray from behind with the Intercontinental Championship. Wow, Seth Rollins really sending a message there to Bray Wyatt. That's a nice little cutscene. I like that. We haven't seen that one for a while. Seth does the damage. He wanders away, and now Austin Aries has the job of just picking up the pieces of Bray Wyatt. The damage has been done already. Is it going to be enough, though, for Aries to beat Bray Wyatt? Aries there with a backdrop, and you see exactly where Bray Wyatt's head landed, just on the edge of that steel. As now Austin Aries just destroying Bray Wyatt on the outside, but Bray catches Aries and drops him to the floor. Trips him to the floor. And now locking in that single leg Boston Crab, and you've got to think that attack by Seth Rollins is going to do damage. It's going to hurt him, but at the same time, it's probably going to piss him off as well. Big clothesline there by Austin Aries, now locking in that head scissors, but Bray Wyatt breaks free, and of course you may be thinking, why is this still going on the way it is? And that's because of course both guys have not been in the ring yet, therefore the match has not officially started. Therefore these guys can just continue to beat the crap out of each other on the outside. Bray now just crunching the shoulder of Austin Aries. Bray now throwing Aries towards the ring, and Aries actually trips over his own feet, which is never a good thing for an agile wrestler like Austin Aries. Bray now bringing Aries back up to his feet. Aries catches Bray with the... Oh, both guys went for something there at the same time. Both missed. I think Aries went for a dropkick and Bray went for a crossbody. Aries there catching Bray with that tornado DDT on the outside. Dangerous move. And of course, at this time, if these guys want to use weapons again, it will count. There's no disqualifications because the match hasn't officially started yet. As far as the referee's concerned, this is still part of Seth Rollins' attack. And now Austin Aries throwing Bray Wyatt into the ring. He thinks he's done enough damage. Of course, not just him, but Seth Rollins as well. And now the bell goes. Aries bringing Bray Wyatt into the middle of the ring. There's a snapman, a big dropkick to the face. Austin Aries needs to take advantage and potentially finish this match off as soon as he possibly can. He doesn't want to allow Bray Wyatt any time to get back into this one and potentially regain the energy. He needs to turn this match round. Bray Wyatt catching Aries. Aries bringing now Wyatt into the middle of the ring. Spins him round. A big DDT. Bray Wyatt is down. And now Austin Aries lines him up. Are we potentially going to see something awesome from Austin Aries? Potentially a brain buster. Takes him up. And Double A brings him down. And that could be all she wrote for this match, especially with the attack from Seth Rollins. Why is Aries just stood there staring at him? Pin him. There we go. Aries finally goes to the pin, but he's taken a long time. Is it going to be enough? Or has he given Wyatt enough time? It has been enough. And the attack from Seth Rollins is effective enough to keep the big man Bray Wyatt down and also allow Austin Aries to pick up the free count. Of course, there's no highlights because the match was very short, basically. And there was the win by Austin Aries. So it's not good for Bray Wyatt. That's going to give him a little bit of a reduction in momentum going forward into the championship match next week at Backlash when he tries to regain his Intercontinental Championship. At the same time, it's done wonders for Austin Aries. He's been thrown up the championship rankings from this one, and he's also just defeated one of the top guys on the roster and the former Intercontinental Champion himself. So, great work here from Austin Aries. That should help him out. And what do you think about Austin Aries also being involved in that Cruiserweight division as well? I think he's definitely the right size and shape for it. He was part of the X Division over in TNA, so why not use him to really bring the X Division up to the next level? And here we go. Here is the rivalry result. Payback. Champion Seth Rollins got revenge on Bray Wyatt with a furious assault. That has given Austin Aries a hot streak. He'll definitely need that. That's good for him. He's also apparently an ally with Cody Rhodes. That was due to a rivalry did on month number 1 of this universe mode. For some reason, instead of making Aries and Rhodes enemies, they became respectful allies from it. So that's pretty cool. Bray Wyatt is now on a cold streak, which is not going to be good for him at all. And be interesting to see just how this one goes down at Backlash. But of course, we do have a chance now for Seth Rollins to get stunted a little bit himself in our main event. And here is that main event. It's going to be Seth Rollins taking on Luke Harper, and of course Eric Rowan will be at ringside for, let's say in inverted commas, moral support. And here we go with our main event. It's been a little bit of a quick episode, actually, considering we've already done 3 matches. It's just what we did do 4 in this episode, not just the 3. Was we finished already? Now, of course, not the first time we've seen Seth Rollins here this evening. We saw him attacking Bray Wyatt earlier on with that very Intercontinental Championship you see around his waist. I'm sure Bray will be after some sort of revenge. However, at the moment, he's left it in the hands of his very capable henchman, Luke Harper, and of course Eric Rowan as well. I think we've already seen these two guys wrestle once, and of course Luke Harper picked up the victory. These two guys wrestled a few weeks back before the Over the Edge pay-per-view. They wrestled for a spot in the Elimination Chamber match, and Luke Harper actually defeated Seth Rollins and made his way into that match. I'm sure Seth will not only be looking for a little bit of revenge that way, but then also a little bit of revenge trying to win a match against Luke Harper as well, because you don't want to go into that match next week at Backlash with a loss against you. Just ask Bray Wyatt. He'll tell you exactly. You do not want to go into that match like that. You see the fireflies flying high. Whoa. Well, that's scary. Braun Strowman should be on this year's game as well. That'd be interesting. I don't know why, but I don't know. It'd just be nice to have him on the game. And just the more you think about it, right? If we're getting Goldberg as downloadable content, Braun Strowman, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Becky Lynch. I'm going to go out on a hedge. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say AJ Styles, Nakamura, Austin Aries, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson. I'm going to say Bayley, Alexa Bliss, The Revival, American Alpha, Apollo Crews. Just those off the top of my head at the moment, that is 17 names. And I would assume that all 17 of those people that were not on 2K16 are going to be on 2K17. Now that's 16 people that I currently have downloaded through our created wrestlers. So if all those people are on the game, that's 16 extra slots I have available to download other people, which is going to be great. Of course, we are going to lose Cody Rhodes. We are going to lose Damien Sandow, who are 2 people we might try and get back in. I think we probably will try and get them both back in. Everyone else that's left, Adam Rose, not overly bothered. Hornswoggle, yeah, whatever. A couple of the women have gone, not really worth trying to get back. And yeah, I think we're going to have a lot more space, and we're going to have to go a lot more crazy next year with some of our created wrestlers, which would be pretty cool. Straight away, Harper just pinning Seth Rollins into the corner. Harper actually went for a clean break, but Seth was having none of it. Seth got a strike in while he could. And that's the thing that Seth has to do in a situation where he's fighting against this family, if you will. Is just try and use whatever you can. Try and take advantage whenever you can. We saw that earlier on. He attacked Bray Wyatt during his entrance. Now he's getting a few cheap shots in on Luke Harper as he can, but Harper coming back at him now straight away. Big spine bust. Now, I'm a massive Luke Harper fan. I really, really am. And I would love to see him at part of this universe mode holding a championship. And I think this Intercontinental Championship could be something that he could go for potentially. If Bray Wyatt doesn't win it, then maybe Luke Harper could be the next one feuding for it. But of course, remember, we also have our draft steel match coming up at Backlash as well. So anybody from... who we got? I think it's Nitro and Smackdown. So anybody from Nitro could end up coming to Smackdown and vice versa. So who knows? Luke Harper and the Wyatt family could be on Nitro as of next week. It's that sort of crazy. It's a reverse DDT there by Seth Rollins. And just looking at it now, there's just so many people that could end up being disappearing off. I'm trying to think if anyone would actually suit Nitro as it is anyway. Nobody I can really think of. We were thinking about potentially doing a swap with Nitro anyway, weren't we? With bringing someone like Neville or Tyson Kidd or Hideo Itami over to SmackDown to help bolster up that cruiserweight division. That's something we could potentially look at, but it would involve of course SmackDown having to give Nitro someone that's worth it, someone that's worth the trade-off. You know what I completely forgot to mention this week? Of course, last week we saw the debut of Kurt Angle, didn't we? On the SmackDown roster. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great debut. They took on the Lucha Dragons. When I say they, I mean Jordan and Gable of American Alpha, now being led by Kurt Angle. They took on the Lucha Dragons, and unfortunately, it was the Lucha Dragons. Well, unfortunately for them, Lucha Dragons picked up the victory. I think Kurt Angle has taken American Alpha away. He wants them to try and work again from the ground up, trying to figure out exactly what they want to do here, and then build up from there. But of course, Kurt Angle joining this roster on SmackDown is a massive, massive addition to the roster as Seth Rollins trying to win this one by countout. And I just doing whatever he can to try and pick up this victory. He doesn't want to be in the ring with Luke Harper for as long as he has to, really. These two now just collide on the outside. Big uppercut by Luke Harper. I miss Luke Harper. He's going to be out until after SummerSlam, they reckon. But he has been cast in a new film, which is good. Must be strange now being a wrestler, because you think sort of 10, 15 years ago, you're a wrestler, you performed in front of crowds, this, that, and the other. Now you got guys like Luke Harper being taken from companies such as Combat Zone Wrestling and companies such as Dragon Gate USA, which is now obviously Evolve. And you're seeing these guys now not only become wrestlers in front of tens of thousands of people every single week, but also being cast in movies. And it must be such a crazy thing for Luke Harper to think that 20 odd years ago, when he decided he wanted to be a wrestler and he's doing all his training, he must have never even dreamed about becoming a big time actor as well and being in films. But that's such a strange way how wrestling's worked over these last few years. As Eric Rowan now up on the apron, Seth Rollins just caught Luke Harper with a buckle bomb, and now Luke Harper gets the chance to creep up behind Seth Rollins and catches him with that sit-out scoop slam, and Seth's leg caught on that middle rope. Harper now bringing Seth back up to his feet. Just drops him face first into the mat. Harper now bringing Seth away from the corner. Bray will be desperate for Luke Harper to pick up the victory here and just try and get a little bit of retribution from the match earlier on. Of course, Bray Wyatt is currently in the doctor's room. He took a pretty hefty hit to the back of the head with that title belt. They're checking him for a concussion at the moment, which is why he's left his entourage, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, to sort out the mess here. But the moment Seth in control, there's a knee drop across the face of Luke Harper, shall I say. And again, Eric Rowan distracting Seth Rollins, allowing Luke Harper a few seconds to recuperate. And again, Harper taking Seth up. Sort of turn that backdrop into almost like a rock bottom. Harper now sending Seth Rollins once again over the top rope, crashing to the ground below. Harper now joining Seth on the outside. stamping on the back of Seth. Seth slowly back up to his feet and catches Harper with a couple of back elbows, trying to create a little bit of space. And has straight into that single-armed bulldog as well. Seth now just pinning Harper down, wrenching his arms back while he pushes the knee into the middle of the back. Very, very painful move that by Seth. Both guys slide back into the ring as the referee gets up to a 5 count. Seth now sending Harper into the corner. And again, Eric Rowan just getting underneath the skin of Seth, distracting him. Harper went for another dragon suplex, but Seth rolled out with that snapmare, I suppose. Straight into a dropkick now as well, and Seth with the boot to the face of the grounded Luke Harper brings him out into the middle of the ring. Rolls him over. Seth going to go in for a pin here. Is it going to be enough? 1, 2. It's not. It's still only enough for a 2 count. Both guys slowly back up to their feet, and Harper managed to avoid that clothesline to the back, but Seth still manages to reverse him. Seth slides off. Oh, he's hit him with a curb stomp. Seth out of nowhere, the boot to the gut of Luke Harper, then into the curb stomp. Seth, don't punch him. You've got to go for the pin here, mate. If you want to win the match, mate, you've got to go for the pin. Seth's going to go up top. Is he going to look to finish him off here with a Phoenix Splash, potentially? It is going to be a Phoenix Splash, and Luke Harper avoids it. If Seth had just gone for the pin after the curb stomp, he might have had this one won, but he's just taken a bit too long, and for some reason Seth going back up to the middle rope, and Harper just catches him straight away with that just overhand punch to the face. And now Harper, this was a bad idea by Seth. He should have gone for the pin while he had the chance. Harper, that massive discus lariat, and now in for the pin on Seth Rollins. This is going to be enough. 1, 2, and 3, and it is a good win here for Luke Harper. The second win he's got over Seth Rollins in a month, and that's a big thing for Luke Harper. And that, for me, like I was saying earlier on, one of my favourite wrestlers at the moment, and I really think that potentially he can go on and win one of the big champions here on SmackDown. Or, like I say, if he ends up being drafted somewhere else, then again, potentially one of the big championships. And there is the pin there by Luke Harper. That was, of course, only after that backdrop into a front face slam, I suppose you want to call it that. Now, I don't know why Seth didn't go for the pin straight from the curb stomp. He went to try and follow it up with a Phoenix Splash, and it would have been effective, but it's a high-risk maneuver. That's why they call it high risk, because potentially your opponent can get out of the way. And this was the beginning of the end, really. Seth tried to get up in that middle rope while Luke Harper was stood there, and Luke Harper just punches him. Big knee to the gut, and then that discus lariat just folding Seth Rollins in half. And unlike Seth, Luke Harper went straight into the pin, and he gets the 3 count. So a great win here for Seth Rollins. Sorry, great win here for Luke Harper, should I say. Seth Rollins suffers a loss, and that means both guys now in the Intercontinental Championship match, both Seth and Bray Wyatt, both losing here this evening. Of course, Bray losing after being attacked during his entrance by Seth Rollins in the Intercontinental Championship belt. And Seth Rollins being defeated after Bray Wyatt's henchmen, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, return the favour. So, guys, that's the end of this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, it would be incredible if you'd hit that like button. And, of course, if you are new around here, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well, because you'll see a lot more of this WWE 2K16 Universe mode. Remember, we do have our next episode of the Global Cruiserweight Championship being uploaded tomorrow. It is going to be the first of our quarterfinals. We'll be mixing and matching the nations as well. So we're going to see the guys from UK, Japan, Mexico, and America all mixed up now. And hopefully we're going to end up with some pretty damn good semi-finals as well. I've been Shabby Gamer. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you all tomorrow for the Global Cruiserweight Championship.